Good afternoon. Of course, I'm Jim Pratt, Mission One Coordinator, and today I have two wonderful experts in mission work. Um, the Hamanns here. So, would you guys go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name's Jeff Hamann.
I'm Julie Hamann.
And Jeff and Julie, what is your vocation?
I'm a quality manager at Starting USA.
Okay, which means what?
Well, it means I take care of the quality system, parts quality for small manufacturing.
Okay.
I'm a high school teacher.
Okay, and what you're going to find as we talk some here, they've been actively involved in international mission work, stateside mission work too, for that matter. But you don't. While obviously, if you're called to be a pastor, I think you're called to be involved in mission work. But you don't have to be a pastor to be involved in mission work. And so, Jeff and Julie, how many different locations have you been to, and ballpark how many trips? Now, as I'm interviewing Jeff and Julie, we'll approach this from mission teams as well as short-term, just the two of you. So those two combined, how many trips and how many locations?
I've been on 10 international trips.
Okay. And which locations?
Niger, the Philippines, Mexico, Saipan, and Honduras.
Okay. She's General Baptist of the decade. So she's been to most of our locations. Jeff, how about you?
I've been to 13 mission trips. One of them national missions at Cookeville, Tennessee, and then an additional 13 international missions, and the same locations that Julie spoke of.
Okay. If you noticed, if you were on our website last Monday, I mentioned the importance of being prepared for trips to get the most out of trips. And Jeff is a team leader. You're going to be uncomfortable with me telling him this, but team leader extraordinary. Jeff, how important is pre-trip training for the mission trip?
I wouldn't recommend doing a mission trip without it, to be perfectly honest. It just it sets the stage, it sets the tone for your team, and how everybody works together. So many crises can be averted by simply having the training ahead of time.
I'll push into that a little bit more. If you're leading a team, do you require this training, or is it just optional?
No, we require it. Each team that we've led that's been a large group, which I guess has probably been 7 missions, something like that we've taken a larger group. Everyone has been through the training, and we make it a requirement to go. As a matter of fact, we schedule out all the training, and we use CultureLink as our source, and we schedule all the training sessions out. And typically, we might allow someone to miss one session, but other than that, because we're looking for the commitment to go, and I think that commitment starts with the team. One of the things that comes from that training is we always share that it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about the mission, it's about the people that we're going to serve, and as you go through that team process, that comes more and more to light. That people begin to realize that the focus is the mission. It's a God focus. It's not what I want to do or where I want to be. It's what the team and the mission field need.
And so the CultureLink training Jeff talks about, one of the trainings that we make available through Mission One, but it talks about, it gives some fundraising ideas, but it talks about, like you said, the trip, but there's also a piece, the debrief, the returning from the trip. Would you guys agree that if, I feel like that if somebody's going on a mission trip just because they like to travel, they'd be better off to just send the money. But if they're going to be impacted for life, then I think that's more important. Share 1 or 2 examples of out of the ordinary experiences you've had on either whether it's a short-term trip, just the two of you, or a mission team trip.
The biggest one that comes to my mind, we took a large team to Mexico some years back. Largest team we've taken, we had from 7-year-old all the way to 70-plus-year-old on the team. I think there were 14 members on the team, so it was a large team to take. And so we did all of our training, we mapped things out, and we come up with our plan. And so we got on the field, and we were going to have a Bible school for the children, and then the adults were going to be someplace else doing a revival. Well, we set up in one area to do the outreach for the children, and literally just before everything started, they came and got us and said, no, we can't do it here. You're going to have to move it to the other location with the parents. So we had to drop everything, put all the pieces together, and take off. And that's one of those examples. Had we not been through the training and explained to people that you lay out your plans and you do the best you can, but things are going to change. No matter how you plan, it's not going to be according to plan. So you have to just ebb and flow with the mission. So that was pretty huge.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that that I know you two well enough to know that you'll agree with me. Now you have to with what I'm about to say, right? But how important is it that you work with the nationals rather than having your agenda and this is what we will do?
That was very important, because if we go down and have our agenda, it doesn't accomplish anything. Working with the nationals is I think, basically the most important part.
I agree too. And culturally training, we have a book, When Helping Hurt, Serving with Eyes Wide Open. All those books, what they will talk about is they've interviewed people in these fields, and they've talked to them about what happened after the team left. And quite often, they would have to redo or finish projects because the team thought they were going to do all these things and promise all these things, and life happened and it gets changed. And you talk about being flexible. Is starting at a particular time important to most of the fields where we go?
No. But it's an American thing.
It is an American thing.
So that's part of the training.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
they are event focused.
Yes.
If an event's going to start at 10, it's 10-ish.
Yeah.
And by the way, they won't necessarily be done in an hour either, will they?
No.
And so
Maybe the singing portion.
maybe the singing portion. It depends on how hot it is for them, right? So Jeff and Julie, they've led teams, gone as a couple, and also both your sons have been with you
Yes.
on trips as well. And so, how would you say that your involvement in international ministries has shaped your Christian walk?
It's deepened my faith a lot. Just going and working with the nationals, the Christian nationals, and seeing their passion, their desire to change their world around them, very inspiring.
And it's incredibly humbling as well. Pastor Jeff in his interview talked about not feeling worthy of the request of the people there being made to you, and that's so true. You get there and you realize that these people are asking you to pray for them and that kind of thing, and I'm thinking, man,
Pray for me instead.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you live it every day, and your commitment and your trust in God for everything, far superior to mine. So I find it inspiring. Every time I go on a trip, I get fired up coming back.
And what would you guys say? Because for me, every trip, before I became Mission 1 coordinator, every trip, and even now, since then, even more so in some ways, how do you, when you come back home from these trips, you see just people living out their faith in Christ because that's all they have. And you come back here and to be quite frankly, it just seems like we miss something many times in church. The things that we discuss or argue drive me batty at times. So how do you readjust when you come back home? You go back to church and you see some of the discussions, and you just came from some place where, for example, they would love to wash their hands in water. They don't have water, those kind of things. So how do you readjust each time you come back?
Okay. Usually, Julie and I've talked about, sometimes we come back and it's 2 weeks before we can say we're truly back to normal. I mean, it can be, depending on the trip, it can be spiritually draining, it can be physically draining, it can be mentally draining. And so sometimes it'll be a couple weeks before we can get back to normal. And one of the things that we discovered that's interesting to me is you'll get back and someone will say, "Did you have a good trip?"
Did you enjoy your vacation?
Yeah, well, but like, did you have a good trip? Yeah, but you don't know really how to explain
Right.
the trip. You don't know what to
Because
share.
they didn't experience it.
Yeah, because it's just I don't know some of that how you relate it. So it's
Without experiencing it.
yeah.
And so, so you obviously with COVID-19, how many times have we had to say that recently? Things have been in a standstill. So you guys, is your mission involved in international? Are you done now? Or are you going to continue to
No,
go?
we're going to continue. As a matter of fact, we had scheduled to go to Niger in March, and literally we were supposed to leave on Friday, and on Wednesdays when they shut everything down. I mean, we were on go. We'd already made the decision. You know, if the airports are open, we're going. Right. And but they shut everything down, and it turned out for the best because Niger shut down as well, 14-day quarantines and those kind of things.
And Chris and Nicole came back to the States.
Yes.
Yeah, so it worked out for the best, but yeah, we were on go, and we keep kicking around, you know, just we've got all of our materials together, all of our plans together, so we're on go.
Yes.
So if the opportunity presents itself, we want to go.
Appreciate you guys sharing. And if you're interested in going on a mission trip, don't take my word for it. Like I shared whenever I interviewed Jeff, I get paid to tell you to go on a mission trip, but did I paid you guys?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. All right. But Jeff and Julie Hamann, they don't go on these trips for vacation. They go to meet needs, and it might be doing some leadership development. It might be going to Saipan, helping them rebuild after a typhoon. It might be going to Mexico and doing VBS or construction. And so I encourage you to contact me, jim.pratt@generalbaptist.com, and I could get you in touch with Jeff and Julie Hamann.